Hello, I'm Donna here with Killa, and we are doing some Christmas cookies for the hometown celebration. And yeah, I've made these a lot for Christmases with my family. We have occasionally rolled them out or done rollout cookies, but these are a nice drop cookie that are easy to do, and we top them with peppermint and icing, cream cheese icing, and here we go. So we're going to start off with some softened butter. You want it not melted at all. As you can see, this is nice and firm, sort of firm, but soft enough that the blade will be able to mix it easily. And then we're going to do 1.5 cups of sugar. White granulated sugar. And then baking powder, 2.5 teaspoons. This is sort of new to mix that. Usually I'm used to mixing the baking powder and the salt with the flour, but this works nice that you only have to add the flour in the end. And kosher salt, 1.25 teaspoons of kosher salt. I think that was more about 1 teaspoon actually. It calls for 5 grams. And so now you're gonna mix it for about 5 minutes on like a medium speed, and until it's nice and fluffy. And you can take a spatula and scrape the edges after a few minutes here. But I'm going to turn it on high and you can come back in a bit. Here we are. We're going to add it's nice and creamed, and you can see here it's yeah, nice and fluffy. If it's not fluffy like that, then the egg's not going to absorb right. So we're going to add the egg and 2.5 teaspoons of vanilla extract and 1/2 teaspoon of almond extract. One-half teaspoon of almond extract. Alright, and so we're going to mix this for another 2 minutes until it's nice and fluffy, and we can scrape it after about a minute. So the egg and the vanilla are nicely incorporated, and now we're going to sprinkle in 2.25 cups of all-purpose flour. And I like to measure the flour by scooping it in, and then you'll take a flat edge spatula or a knife, and then you'll dump it in. I measured this out previously, but I know it's 320 grams, or about 2.25 cups. So you'll mix it until a nice thick dough is formed. It's a very thick dough, as you can see. And one thing nice about this dough is you do not have to chill it before baking the cookie. You can just scoop it right away and scoop it and bake them right away. So I have a cookie sheet lined with parchment paper here. And I like to take, I always like to take a spatula and just bring the bottom to the top of the bowl. A lot of times in a baking bowl there'll be a little butter and sugar or something sitting on the bottom that I like to mix together so the cookies spread nice and even and whatever you're baking. It's always good to give one final stir by hand. So I have a cookie scoop here. I'm going to do a larger cookie, like a 2-ounce cookie. So you can either weigh it. I'm a big fan of weighing if you want them to bake evenly. Or whatever you do, it's just good to make the same size for the whole pan. So I'm going to make a nice big 2-ounce cookie here. And yeah, just plop it on your tray. And they're going to spread quite a bit. So you will want to space them apart. This batch will make about 13 cookies, this 2-ounce size. You don't have to flatten them, they flatten pretty nicely on their own. So I'm going to go ahead and keep scooping all of this dough to make, to use it all up, and then you bake them about 300 and our oven at work here is a little hotter. Let me just double check here. Oh, it's actually 350 at a home oven for about 15 minutes until they're 15 to 18 minutes maybe until they're like a nice golden brown, and I will show you what they will look like when they are done, and we'll ice them. So we are going to make a icing for our sugar cookies. Here they are, nice and baked and cooled off. They are delicious alone. You could sprinkle a little bit of sugar on them right before they go in the oven, but this is how we always grew up eating them, was with cream cheese or with butter icing. And so this is a softened cream cheese. It's about 6 ounces of softened cream cheese and 3 ounces of unsalted butter. If you use salted, you just won't add this pinch of salt that I'm going to add. So pinch of salt, and then about a half a teaspoon or 3/4 teaspoon of vanilla extract. And a 1/4 teaspoon of almond extract. If you don't have almond extract, it's fine, but it really adds a nice flavor to it. So now we're going to mix these two together until they're nice and fluffy, and I'm going to come back and add some powdered sugar. So I mix the two together until it's nice and fluffy. No, you just don't want any lumps. I'm going to scrape it a little bit, and we can start to add our powdered sugar. And I'm going to add it on low so it doesn't go everywhere. Just add a little bit at a time, and you're going to add about 1.5 cups of powdered sugar. You can do this in your KitchenAid as well, or your standing mixer if you have one. And then you'll just mix until it comes together. All right, so nice and creamy. I'm just gonna mix it by hand just a little bit more. And then you can take this icing and color it with food colorings, and I can show you in a minute what I did. I made some red and green and blue colors, white, and then we're gonna sprinkle them with some crushed candy cane. So we'll grab all those. Here's our colored icings that we made. We did a green for Christmas and red, and then I love this Tiffany blue color, and then some crushed candy canes. And to crush the candy canes, you can buy crushed peppermints at some places and like say Bulk Foods, or but you just take your candy cane. You can open up the wrapper or not open it, and then put it in a bag, and then just take like a flat edge mallet or maybe a bottom of a coffee cup, and just crush your candy canes until they're a fine powder. And so I'll ice a few with the camera here. So we'll start off with the white. I'll just take a little, and I like to pick up the cookie with my hands, and just spread it to the edges as much as you can. And we're going to do green icing. And then I'll do a blue for you. And it would be good to wipe with your spatula with a piece of you don't want to mix the colors all together if you're doing this. And then I also like to pipe. So I put a star tip. I think this is like a 1B or a 1M tip. It's a nice big tip. It's a Wilton tip, and it's like a rose. And you can put all your icing in a bag and cut the tip and just make a rose all the way around the cookie. And then we have the candy canes that we crushed up, and we'll sprinkle them. This adds a nice, offsets the sweet a little bit with the peppermint. There you go. And yeah, these you can keep them in the refrigerator for maybe about a week, and they freeze wonderfully. If you do freeze them, you won't be able to stack them. You'd have to put them in a container with like a lid so that they don't. If you do stack them with parchment paper, and they freeze great. So I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you get to make these and try out this sugar cookie with crushed peppermint.